the boundary can be anything you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But forgiveness has to happen for your
Mm-hmm.
own sake and for that energetic line to not be there anymore.
Oliveyah Fisch is a best-selling author, master coach, and the founder of Be Human Medicine and the Spiritual Heartbeat Movement. With over 20 years of experience blending science, spirituality, and somatic wisdom, she empowers individuals and organizations to awaken their joy, embody their truth, and lead from love. Her work has touched thousands, from corporate teams at Google and YouTube to seekers navigating life transitions. Her upcoming book, Spiritual Heartbeat: The Ultimate Requirement for Success, it came out in October of 2025, invites readers to integrate divine intelligence into their daily lives and live with clarity, power, and deep spiritual alignment. Hello, Oliveyah. Thank you so much for being here on the Savvy Shift podcast. I'm so excited to have you.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, let's dive right into it. I always like to start at the beginning, and kind of go on the journey of how you came to be doing the work that you're doing, today. So let's go back to the beginning.
All right, sounds good. So if we go back, my father has been doing coaching before people were calling it coaching.
Uh-huh.
He teaches Kung Fu San Tzu, and he would have his students, and he was doing a form of coaching with the teachings that he was um, essentially sharing with his students. And
Mhm.
so from a very early age, I got to see people entering our home at the studio in the garage or at different locations that he had studios while I was growing up. And they would come in with a certain type of energy and a certain type of vibe and a certain type of heaviness to them, and they would leave a whole different person. And I
Mhm.
got to see that over and over and over again. So that was a really wonderful experience for me to grow up with. There was some hard things I also grew up with as well. I was brought up in a cult from the ages of 0 to 6 years old. And before my mom at the time and my father left and took us and the kids away from that environment. And so I also grew up around people who were essentially handing over their power to other people
Mhm.
and not having and owning and honoring their own sovereignty and their own wisdom. And from a pretty early age, I saw how dangerous that can be and how terrifying that can be
Mhm.
and what an unsafe, disempowering way to live. And
Mhm.
so I think that it is now inevitable looking back around my history to see, okay, of course I do this work. I'm very passionate and honored that clients come to me to share their lives and their journey with
Mhm.
me so that I can support them, not because they can't do it themselves, but because I am showing them that they can do it
Uh-huh.
themselves, that they are empowered. I'm helping them remember who they are and how they can stay on their right road, stay on their path to do their own soul work, to feel empowered, and to share their gifts with the world. So that's
Mhm.
what I get to do.
That is amazing. Um, I have never had anyone on the show before who has any connections to a cult or been in that kind of environment. Do you mind if we dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, you were there obviously at a very young age. What was that like for you growing up in that in kind of environment, and just reflecting back on it, like how did that influence you as a child, in terms of how you grew up and grew into the woman that you are?
Yeah. So, like I said, I was very young
Mhm.
and I used what I would call at the time going to other places in order to survive that environment.
Mhm.
Later in my 20s, I would find out that was called disassociation.
Uh-huh.
But to me, it was the healthiest, most bravest thing I can do to feel good, joyful, and safe. And I would hypnotize myself essentially. So I would have a
Mhm.
necklace that I would play with and I would twirl it around like a jump rope and then watch it vibrate. And that
Mhm.
would actually take me to different spaces, realms,
Mhm.
connect with spirit. And I'll
Mhm.
share with you, Samantha, that, it's an interesting world because we like to really disease everything, like make it a problem, make
Mhm.
something um, we want to diagnose somebody as having a problem that we can then heal,
Mhm.
and then give them this drug to help this problem and this thing. And I think that that is fantastic. Drugs do a lot of things. And I think that the therapy world is super helpful at times. But if I'm honest, it was something that I would never take back, that ability to
Mhm.
um, connect with spirit anytime I needed,
Mhm.
connect to something divine and beautiful anytime I need
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
And that is essentially how I survived that environment, but
Mhm.
also what allows me to access wisdom very easily today.
Mhm.
And would it have been better if I did not grow up in that situation? Yeah, that would be fantastic. But I did. And what I'm going to do with that and what I've done with that is part of what I've been able to figure out, or it's been my life journey. It's like, you don't always get handed the best cards, but what are you going to do with those cards? How are you going to turn that into a gift, an opportunity, or an offering? So
Mhm.
I'll go back to your question. It was a challenging situation to be in because I did not feel safe. And I knew the people around me didn't know what they were doing
Mhm.
pretty early on. And
Mhm.
when you're a young person that doesn't trust the people around you to take care of you, and then you yourself can't because you're little, that's a
Mhm.
pretty terrifying situation. But anytime it got too noisy or too scary, so I'm in my crib or in my room and I'm hearing yelling out there and no one's checked on me in a while or
Mhm.
whatever they were doing, um, the ability to even connect and drop in and leave my body to
Mhm.
hang out with my future self. And I'll share with you that I would see me now taking
Really?
care of me then, like, "Hey, it's gonna be okay. I love you so much. This is
Mhm.
all going to work out. You're safe, and I love you, and let me just hold you."
Mhm.
So, there would be moments where the version of who I am today is hanging out with this little girl, taking her
Mhm.
to the beach, rocking her in a chair,
Mhm.
comforting her, meeting her while she's trying to crawl out of her crib and sitting with her in the hallway, telling her it's
Mhm.
okay, you can go back to bed. I'll snuggle you. There's these
Mhm.
moments that I remember sitting under a tree with my future self, just
Mhm.
playing with the grass and talking to the cherry tree that wasn't there essentially.
Yeah.
But there's a there's an energy of that I'm very grateful for, that I
Mhm.
actually haven't talked about a lot in public settings. So, this is maybe the first time I've shared that
Wow.
publicly. But there's a space in that we are really capable of connecting with, and I'm actually very grateful that I got to be able to learn how to connect with that in a very, very powerful way,
Mhm.
and then access it again later. So that was when I was very young. That was a safe place to go to a world that's maybe not tangible or a reality that we can see. Later
Mhm.
on in life, when I was around maybe 8 to 10 or so, the feeling of not being safe in those early years turned into obsessive compulsive behavior, like
Mhm.
picking my face, not stepping on the cracks, touching things, washing my hands,
Mhm.
things like that were repetitive and compulsive.
Mhm.
And in my 20s, it looked like over-exercising and
Mhm.
overtraining. In
Mhm.
my 30s, it looked like overworking, overfunctioning.
Mhm.
Even now in my 40s, I get to watch and catch when it turns into impact or service. That can
Mhm.
be a sneaky one as well. So
Mhm.
I do see that there are things that I've gotten to be aware of and to heal from. And it's a beautiful life. And I think that every single time I get to learn a little bit more and heal a little bit more and grow a little bit more, I get to then understand that and share that with people
Mhm.
and support people in a deeper way that I would not be able to otherwise.
Mhm.
So there's more I can share about all of that, but I'll see if I've answered your question a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so many different paths that we could go down, and really truly thank you for being vulnerable with me and sharing this this part of you. I value that immensely. So, I had a question. You had said something earlier about handing over your power. And I think, whether that's like in an extreme situation, like in a cult situation, or if that's in a less extreme situation, just, a lot of the time in abusive relationships, people find themselves handing over their power to, other individuals. And I kind of wanted to talk about, first of all, why does that happen to people? And then how do we go about taking the power back without kind of also traumatizing ourselves again because we're doing something that is actually quite terrifying, right? And so I guess the question is twofold is number one, how and why do we hand over our power in the first place? And number two, how do we deal with, like, how do we take it back, but then also deal with the internal turmoil of taking it back?
Yeah. So why do we hand over our power? That's like such a great question. And yes, we can do it in very big ways by joining a cult and saying, this is my guru and they know better than me. So I should just look to them to know how to live my life or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah. Or we can do it in pretty small ways and call it confusion. Like, oh, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what I want to eat. What do you think we should eat tonight? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What are you ordering? I'll order that. It could be
Mm-hmm.
something so simple. Just we call it confusion
Mm-hmm.
or fog sometimes, or just like,
Mm-hmm.
"Ugh, I'm exhausted. I have decision fatigue." So you just
Mm-hmm.
do it. So there's of course these scales. Okay. Um, Part of the reason why we are handing over our power first and foremost is because we don't have models and the conditioning in our lives that we have led so far, culturally, by peers, the environment, does not say, hey, you are all powerful and you have all
Mm-hmm.
the wisdom in the world that lives inside of your body. And every day you get to practice accessing that wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Who's telling us that? Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And is it
Yeah.
modeled? Absolutely not. Right? What's modeled is self doubt, imposter syndrome, lack of confidence, overthinking, ruminating, anxiety, stress. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's what is modeled around us growing up, then we're just like, oh, I don't feel confident. I have self doubt. I'm going to be critiquing myself. And all of the trash that I think about myself is maybe true. And I have to get better. And I'm not enough. So let
Mm-hmm.
me try to be enough and feel worthy of being alive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why do we have that? Well, we live in a world that is a capitalist a capitalistic society essentially that is
Mm-hmm.
really making sure we all feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So that we'll buy more things
Mm-hmm.
so that we can then feel better about
Mm-hmm.
who we are and did I dress right for this podcast and did I say the right things? Am I educated enough? Did I spend enough money on pouring into myself so I can show up for you well today? Something,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we're up against a lot. All right. I've named a couple of things.
Yeah.
Our modeling, our conditioning, the society we live in. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're up against a lot where it's actually the easier route to say something on the external knows better than me. So let me
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and follow that. I call this like flocking. We're in a
Mm-hmm.
constant state of flock. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's fight, flight, fawn, flock, freeze. These are the response mechanisms of having a nervous system that feels maybe under attack. But
Uh-huh.
that chronic flocking, that chronic looking on the outside to make sure that we're okay on the inside. Flocking is a natural part of life. You're in your tribe, you're around your people, you're chopping the wood, and then all of a sudden there's a big loud noise in the forest, and you go like this, and then you look around to see how your aunties and uncles are responding, or mom and dad, and they're like,
Mhm.
oh, they're just keeping working. Okay, great. I think that noise is fine then. I'll just keep working. So we
Mhm.
do that as young kids. We flock to make sure, hey, that was scary. Am I safe? So that
Mhm.
flock response is natural. But when we are not recognizing there's a moment we need to outgrow that flock, that
Mhm.
flocking, that's when we get into trouble. And when we don't have our community and our family saying, actually, are you still hungry? Rather than eat your dinner.
Mhm.
When we say it's just time to go versus, oh, what did you need? Did you need a second? What's going on? Why did you not want to leave the house?
Uh-huh.
Right? Just like that moment, even when we were children, where we totally override them to
Mhm.
say, I know better than you, obviously, because I'm a bigger version of you. So that means I know more than you about
Mhm.
how to eat, what you need to be doing, how you need to be doing it. And that is a problem
Mhm.
because at a young age, we learn how to override our intuition.
Mhm.
So okay, let's just say that's what the life dealt us with, right? It's not our fault, but it's our responsibility to change that.
Mhm.
So, how do we do that? We have to be very aware first and foremost that the truth of reality is that we actually do have all of the wisdom that we need for our life path living inside of us. And
Mhm.
then the question is that are you accessing that wisdom or not? And do you have a practice of consistently tuning into that wisdom so that you can both heal and create. Heal whatever wounds, trauma, conditioning you've had,
Mhm.
and create what wants to happen next.
Okay. So that's about like taking it back. How exactly do we go about with the healing process? Because whether that's talk therapy or coaching or, hypnosis or, like those are all different tools. But what to you does it actually mean to heal something? Like when you have a very, very deep trauma wound inside and it just seems like no matter what you do, you can't get rid of it.
Mm, okay. There's so many things to share in this. It's such a great question. The first thing we have to recognize is that we get to take radical responsibility for our life. So I've said this already so far, which is
Mhm.
the things that have happened to you are not your fault, but they're your responsibility. And what happens when we've had a lot of trauma, it's so easy to drop into
Mhm.
victimization, because we probably were a victim at the time,
Mhm.
or we didn't ask for it, or we didn't try to manifest that horrible thing, to
Mhm.
arrive at our doorstep. So you get to accept the fact that this is your life. This is what happened in the life. It wasn't your fault. And it probably even wasn't the fault of the people who did it, because they were also traumatized. Okay.
Mhm.
So there's a bit of compassion and forgiveness to that process of
Mhm.
recognizing the people that did not know how to care for you were doing their very, very best to take
Mhm.
care of you.
Mhm.
If they weren't doing their very best, something horrible happened to them as
Mhm.
well.
Mhm.
So compassion,
Mhm.
okay, forgiveness,
Mhm.
and radical responsibility is a really important place to start.
Mhm.
Okay. So from there, once we are saying, okay, I am going to be in a state of consciousness where I am deciding and willing to live radically in my life, radical responsibility.
Mhm.
That's a really wonderful first step. The next thing I would share with people is that it's very hard to heal alone.
Mhm.
Okay. It's very hard. It takes a lot longer. This is the thing that I wish I would have done sooner. Okay. By
Mhm.
the way. So I'll go back and do a little story time. So I said to you that in my 20s, I was overtraining, over exercising. Okay.
Mhm.
I actually think that was a really, looking back, an important step for me, because I actually had felt like I had a lot of trauma in my body. So every time I would move and work out, I would almost like break down crying, thinking like I might die if I like move my body that much, because it was the trauma releasing out of the body. Okay.
Mhm.
But I kept working out, I kept training, and it was overtraining almost to actually get all of the things the tightness, the holding that I had in my body to release.
Uh-huh.
So again, psychiatrists would call it overexercising. You have a disease, it's a problem. In
Uh-huh.
my mind, yes, it was. And there was something also quite beautiful happening for me, which
Uh-huh.
was I was I was moving my body in ways and really releasing trauma out of my body during those years while I was overtraining as well. So it
Uh-huh.
was, in my opinion, it was both. It wasn't like this or that. So what I wish I would have done though is to really s- s- seek support that was going to be supportive for
Uh-huh.
me. And
Uh-huh.
to your question of like, what are we doing? Do we tap? Do we go get hypnotized? Do we go to talk therapy? Do we do somatic therapy? Do
Uh-huh.
we do cold plunges every morning? Whatever, all the things. There's so
Uh-huh.
many cool things, that we
Uh-huh.
can be doing. And at the time, this was now, 20 years ago, it wasn't, self and care, self help and wellness was definitely available, but not like it is today. Like you can just do so many things now.
Uh-huh.
So there was opportunities though still that I wish I would have gotten sooner around, for me particularly, knowing that I was overtraining and using the body as a way to release trauma and connect with spirit and um, talk to myself. So, I'd wake up and run 8 miles, even if I didn't
Uh-huh.
feel like it. Like
Uh-huh.
I'd have to exercise in order to feel safe in my body to
Uh-huh.
release some of this tension.
Uh-huh.
But now I know there's like somatic practices you can do for that. There'd be somatic therapy. I wouldn't have had to run up a mountain and work out all day to feel that way, right?
Uh-huh.
So part of what I would say is that you most likely, if you're on the path of personal development and you have been doing your best to figure this out, you're probably intuitively doing something that is actually helping you. You
Uh-huh.
just might need somebody to support you to do it better than like the strategy you have that you're doing right now. Okay. Because
Uh-huh.
we know more and we have more access. So, what I would say is that if you are not getting the support that you feel is helpful for you, like it's not going fast enough, it doesn't feel like it's working, you're not getting the right support. Move
Uh-huh.
on, fire quickly,
Uh-huh.
figure out what else is out there to support you.
Uh-huh.
And I think that for me at the time, I was thinking, oh, I've gone through two therapists. Apparently, I can't be helped. Let me just do it on my own. Right.
Uh-huh.
But talk therapy was not ever going to be something that was going to be helpful for me because I
Uh-huh.
needed more of a somatic, some somatic therapy in order
Uh-huh.
to get the support that I needed, at least at the
Uh-huh.
time.
Uh-huh.
So I think I would share with people is that it's very helpful to get support. It's very helpful to know that if you're not getting the support in a way that is feeling nourishing to you, it's probably not the right support. And you get
Uh-huh.
to go on the hunt.
Uh-huh.
And most of the time, if you are contacting professionals that know what they're doing, they're really curious to figure out if they're a good fit. They're not
Uh-huh.
saying, I am the thing. I
Uh-huh.
am the person that's going to help you because this is the way." It's like, let me see what's going on with you, because
Uh-huh.
if I can't help you, I will find out who can. You're
Yeah.
wanting to find people like that, okay?
Yeah.
So anytime a client comes to me to get some support, I have zero idea if I'm gonna be the one to support them. That's not the point. The point is,
Uh-huh.
by the time we're done with the conversation, they have a path forward
Uh-huh.
for support that they will need, whether it's with me or somebody else. And I think that there's such great people that are wanting to help people out there. Um, so go ahead and be available to that support.
Uh-huh.
How willing are you really to change? Would be my next little pivot here, because when you're ready, things start appearing. When you're actually
Uh-huh.
ready to change, and this is why I start with radical responsibility. Like, are
Uh-huh.
you really willing to like be a different person, to like
Uh-huh.
not have the pain, or feel joyful and feel free? Are you really wanting that, or are you fighting for your limitations, blaming and complaining, and loving up on your victimhood? Are you fighting
Uh-huh.
for your victimhood, or are you fighting for your empowerment?
Uh-huh.
So these are some of the things I would share. I don't think it's a one size fits all fit, but what I do know for sure is that part of the process is always about connecting to your wisdom, your God
Mhm.
self, your higher self, whatever you want to call it. Everybody's calling it something different, and that's great. But
Mhm.
find out what you call it and start
Mhm.
talking to that self. Okay. Because that self, that wisdom will tell you exactly what you need.
Mhm.
That's the whole
Mhm.
point. It'll say, it'll come up in your space in your life of like this, and you're like, oh yeah, I think I need that. It'll might even pop up on YouTube or TikTok, right? But as soon
Mhm.
as you're like, okay, I'm ready, I'm willing and ready to change and to do this life differently. I'm ready to truly heal. I'm ready to truly grow into the life path that was meant for me. There's something beautiful that happens. And so connect with yourself every day. Every single day, you have to connect with that highest version of you, that God self, and you tune
Mhm.
into that and
Mhm.
you live from that place, and you
Mhm.
will find what you need to get that support.
What are the different ways that you have found to connect to that highest self? And like, what are the different things that we should be listening for as well? Because, some people can hear that wisdom much more easily than other people. So if you're struggling, like sometimes I really struggle because I would love to just hear things audibly and just be able to have a conversation. But like I feel like the higher self like whispers, and it's really hard to discern exactly what is coming from your higher self versus like, am I just imagining this? Or, is the YouTube algorithm like should I trust the algorithm, or is that just an advertisement for the sake of an advertisement, right? Like, so how do we determine that?
Oh, it's such a good question. Okay, let's do this. You mentioned something really important, which is the intuition is whispering,
Mm-hmm.
right? So for you, it's like this whisper. It's like it's subtle. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's like a subtleness. Okay. So part of what you want to recognize is that if you're not slowing down, if you're constantly numbing out, distracted, you won't actually hear it
Mm-hmm.
and you won't feel it. Some people's intuition, they can hear, some people feel it more, some people feel like it's a gut instinct more, some people are hearing words or seeing images. So you want to know how your intuition, how wisdom speaks and comes to you.
Mm-hmm.
How does wisdom come through you? How do you
Mm-hmm.
experience that wisdom? Because maybe you're wanting it to be an audible conversation, but it might be playing with you with colors or music or who knows? Like, let's just
Mm-hmm.
find out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the first place we have to start is to slow down. So part of what we do is we do what's called, or what I've coined, the 8-minute rep. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For 8 minutes every single day,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what. Okay. If you miss a day, don't miss twice is the rule. Okay. And 8 minutes a day, you decide that you are going to connect with the wisdom that's inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Think of it like riding a bike. When you first ride a bike, you get on the bike. I don't know if you remember riding a bike, but it was
Mm-hmm.
wobbly. It wasn't
Mhm.
fun. You fell down a couple of times and it felt like, I don't know, let people do this. This sounds terrible. No, like let me
Mhm.
not go fall down again. But once you get the hang of it, you can just jump on anytime and go. Okay,
Mhm.
you could write a long time. You can have that conversation for a long time. You can be in dialogue a long time. And then when you're ready to get off the bike, you go and do whatever you want to do. Okay? And
Mhm.
even if you spent years not listening, you could still pop on again and ride that bike. Okay? All right. So the one thing to know is that your intuition never is wrong.
Mhm.
Okay? Your intuition is never wrong and it
Mhm.
never leaves you. So
Mhm.
anytime you want to go hop on that bike and go for a ride to the beach, it's down. Okay. It's there. So, first, recognize that. What happens is that most people don't know the difference between fear and intuition, ego and intuition. Okay.
Mhm.
Personality, identity, and intuition.
Mhm.
Most of the time, Samantha, my intuition is telling me things I don't feel like doing. Does that
Mhm.
make sense? It's like, I don't want to do that. That's harder, or that's less convenient. They might not
Mhm.
like me if I do that thing.
Mhm.
But this is our job, is to actually stay in authenticity. Okay, that's what this whole game of life is about. Like, even though there's all of these distractions and all this noise, boom, can you actually be you?
Mhm.
Can you decide to be yourself and honor yourself in all of the distraction that's around you? Okay,
Mhm.
so where I would start is that for 8 minutes a day, you stop everything, you get nice and quiet, you take a couple of cleansing breaths. All that means is that you have your exhale be a little bit longer than your inhale. You sit
Mhm.
in your somatic dignity. Just sit in a position that as if someone really important walked by, you'd be like, "Okay, cool, I'm sitting appropriately for that,"
Mhm.
okay? But you are the important person.
Mhm.
You're by yourself, you're alone, it's quiet enough for you to tune in, and you can just start asking different parts of the body, "How are you doing? You are a part of me. What is the wisdom you have to share?" So I
Uh,
would just start with body wisdom. You can ask your mind, "Hello, mind, you're a part of me. How are you doing? What is it that you want me to know today?" Then you have that spotlight of attention on this beautiful, beautiful mind of yours.
mhm.
Same with your heart. You drop your attention, that spotlight down into the heart. "Hello, beautiful heart. You are a part of me. How are you doing today? What would you have me know today?" And then the last one down to the lower dantian, about 2 inches below the belly button. That's your womb. That's your gut instincts. This is your second brain. This is
Mhm.
super important to not forget to access this
Mhm.
point of creation here. Okay. Same thing. "Hello, womb. Hello, gut. You are a part of me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What is the wisdom you have to share with me today?"
Mhm.
And you just write that down. Okay. You can even go ahead and ask your whole body, "Hey, body wisdom. Hey, body intelligence. You are a part of me.
Mhm.
What would you have me know today?" You can say, you can even say to maybe a pain in the body. Say you have like some neck pain or your hands are feeling arthritic or whatever, your
Mhm.
toe hurts. "Hello, toe. You are a part of me. What is the wisdom you have to share with me? What is it that you want me to know?"
Mhm.
Okay. You have body intelligence that lives inside of you. You'll want to access that.
Mhm.
And the other piece of this I would say is even see if you're courageous enough to ask your spiritual self. You have a body, you have an intellect, you have an emotional self, and you have a spiritual self.
Mhm.
And connect with that part of you. "Hello, spiritual self. You are a part of me too. How are you feeling today? What is
Mhm.
the wisdom you have to share with me today?"
Mhm.
Once you get that going, once you get your reps in that, your 8-minute reps there, you can start asking more specific questions.
Mhm.
Okay. "Here's what's going on in my life right now. Heart, womb, mind. Where do I go? Who do I talk to? Where do I do next? What is it that
Mhm.
you want me to know? Guide
Mhm.
me. I am here." You're just starting to have more interesting conversations along the way.
Mhm.
Connecting to nature helps. And what I will share with you is that your body will be a better antenna for this wisdom the healthier it is. So, did you drink enough water? Are you eating healthy foods? Are you getting outside to move your body? Are you exercising? Okay.
Mhm.
Just some basic pillars of health, super important because your
Mhm.
intuition needs a healthy vessel to have a strong radio signal. The antenna needs to be healthy. Okay.
Mhm.
And if it's feeling like you can't access that wisdom at all, it's most
Mhm.
likely because your body is not healthy enough to be accessing that wisdom.
Mhm.
So start with the body. Okay. Start with the simple things that we know how to do that are really hard to do consistently. But when you do, it makes a huge difference. So, again, hydration, healthy foods, getting enough sleep, getting outside, having an interesting conversation once a day, you
Mhm.
know, having movement in your day every day, at least 20 minutes. Okay. These are
Mhm.
the simple things that because of peptides and you know um intermittent fasting and we got all of these crazy things that are just fantastic science, but
Yeah.
those are like the tiny little sprinkles on the cake. If you don't
Yeah.
have the foundation, none of that works.
Yeah.
And we have to get back to the basics because we're losing sight of what actually works when it comes
Mhm.
to taking care of our bodies and being on our right road for our own
Mhm.
spiritual path.
There was something that you had said earlier, when we were talking about how to heal, and just wanted to come back to that a little bit because this is something that I'm working through as well. You had said something about like when you're in a situation where we're giving our power away, that we experience a lot of trauma, but the other person who's is also experiencing trauma. But how does that work, for example, when we come to these situations where we're dealing with like psychopaths, we're dealing with cult leaders, just going back to the very beginning of the example, like, are those people actually experiencing trauma when they are doing these things to other people? And if you have been, I don't want to say a victim, but if you have been victimized in one of these situations, how do we actually forgive that?
Yeah. So part of what we get to recognize is that if somebody is doing harm to somebody, it's because they have been harmed.
Mhm.
So we know this. My daughter learned it in kindergarten, right?
Yeah.
It's like if somebody's bullying you, it's because that they're being bullied or they're having a hard day, and then
Mhm.
you can go ask the teacher for help.
Mhm.
Right? It's like
Mhm.
let's go back to kindergarten knowledge because that is the
Mhm.
same knowledge, okay, as adults.
Mhm.
So you can go advocate for yourself and you can go get help so that you can be safe, but you have
Mhm.
to recognize that that kid is having a hard time. He's a good
Mhm.
kid having a hard
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
Okay? He deserves love and attention and all the things, but he's having a hard time. And
Mhm.
that's why he's picking on you and pulling your hair or whatever he's
Mhm.
doing, okay? Or
Yeah.
she's doing. So just because you're all grown up does not mean that it doesn't apply. It's the
Mhm.
same principle, okay?
Mhm.
So are they in trauma while they're assaulting somebody or while they're manipulating somebody? No, they're
Mhm.
not experiencing trauma, but they have. Somewhere along
Mhm.
the way, that person did not get enough love, attention, safety, all the things that they needed
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
feel whole, complete. Okay. Somewhere along the way, something happened. Whether that was genetics that got passed down, whether that was um, not the great conditions for that particular individual, the modeling, something
Mhm.
happened to that person as well.
Mhm.
Is it okay what they're doing? No, absolutely not. This is not about condoning bad behavior.
Mhm.
Okay. This is about recognizing that anybody who is harming has been harmed, just as a
Mhm.
basic principle. Okay.
Mhm.
So, and I will hear arguments where people are like, no, he was totally loved. Like, you should meet their parents. And like, that kid was not loved the way he needed to be loved. Something
Mhm.
happened.
Mhm.
That kid did not come out bad, I promise you. Okay?
Mhm.
That kid needed something.
Mhm.
So, we have to understand that that is how it goes, okay? Just
Mhm.
as a basic foundation. Now, moving into this space of boundaries, how do you take care of yourself? Do we forgive? Do we not forgive? One of the things to remember is that the forgiveness is not for the other person. The forgiveness is for yourself.
Mhm.
So, I'm not forgiving this cult leader because he deserves anything from me.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
forgiving because that forgiveness will free me up so that my energy is not leaking. And so he doesn't still have the power over me as a
Mhm.
43-year-old. Okay.
Mhm.
So I was there between the ages of 0 and 6 where
Mhm.
things were happening that should not have happened.
Mhm.
So he had control over what was going on in my life.
Mhm.
Today, I am now deciding how much control he has over my life. And if I'm still angry and upset and, I can't believe that happened and he shouldn't have been doing that. No, all of these things,
Mhm.
I only got 100% of my energy every day. If I have 20% go into that, I can't do my life here. That's 20% taken away from my child, from my work,
Mhm.
from my clients, from my husband, from my own
Mhm.
peace of mind.
Mhm.
And so we have to learn the practice of forgiveness and to be able to close that loop. Does that make
Uh-huh.
sense? The energetic loop that doesn't allow us to feel like we are in freedom, that we are in
Uh-huh.
charge of our own lives. And
Uh-huh.
so we're not condoning behavior. We are forgiving so that we can actually feel very empowered about what gets to happen next. We have choice then.
Uh-huh.
That doesn't mean that person has to be your best friend. That person doesn't need to be in your life.
Uh-huh.
The boundary can be anything you want it to be,
Uh-huh.
but forgiveness has to happen for your
Uh-huh.
own sake and for that
Uh-huh.
energetic line to not be there anymore.
Uh-huh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That so
Yeah.
that's why we forgive. That is part of the healing process,
Uh-huh.
is the practice of forgiveness.
Mm.
And it's a skill. It's a skill set to practice.
How long did that whole process take you? Like, were you like when you were going through your 20s and doing the over exercising, and then in your 30s, I think you said it was like really controlling your diet, or what
So
was
my
it in
30s was more about
overworking?
overworking, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
overextending, overfunctioning, yeah.
Yeah. So for you, like how long did the whole healing process take, or is it something that you're still working through today?
Yeah, so I'm sharing with you like these moments that I have pieced together around being
Mhm.
8 and obsessively touching,
Mhm.
tapping things, turning on and off
Mhm.
lights,
Mhm.
overtraining in my 20s, overworking, overfunctioning in my 30s. And
Mhm.
as I said, now in my 40s, I get to watch and be aware of when I'm this, it's almost like a more, do you see how this is a more sophisticated version of a obsessive compulsive disorder, right?
Yes,
Or
yeah.
more even, it's actually things that people will even pay me for or praise me
Mhm.
for, right? In my 20s, when I was overtraining, I had all of these clothing sponsorships and people were paying me a lot of money to
Mhm.
overtrain,
Mhm.
essentially. Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm sharing this in hopes that the listener is recognizing their own more sophisticated version of whatever
Mhm.
they're going through. Okay.
Mhm.
Because so say you were performing for love as a young girl, okay?
Mhm.
Dance for grandma, that
Mhm.
saying, like
Yeah.
be pretty, be nice, do the thing. And
Yeah.
then now that people pleasing has morphed into, well, I'm a really good mother, but I can't take care of myself. I have no time to work out, but oh my gosh, I'm so there for my kids and that's what they need right
Mhm.
now and blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
But really, it's just another form of self-abandoning yourself,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
So we get to recognize our own version, usually more sophisticated as we get older, of how we are self abandoning ourselves and trying to control things that we don't have control over,
Mhm.
and how we are deciding that um, we are not important to actually take care of in some way. And
Mhm.
so I am still constantly learning and growing.
Mhm.
Okay. So like I said, today, I am watching out for noticing when I am in my OCD land, or what I call on one,
Mhm.
around service and impact, right? And that can
Mhm.
come up with um, really wanting to help myself and the world raise the level of consciousness across the planet,
Mhm.
and I am, doing my best to be there for my daughter who's young and who loves me and who needs me right now, and my husband. And there's a fine line. Again, it's just like a little bit more sophisticated. So on
Mhm.
the outside, people can be like, man, she's amazing. She wrote 2 books. She does a podcast. She has this amazing coaching business. Da, 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 da. And that can be healthy or unhealthy depending on my mindset that day. Does
Mhm.
that make sense?
Yeah.
So it can be from a place of scarcity or it can be from a place of abundance. It can be
Mhm.
from a place of fear or it can be from a place of love. Does that
Mhm.
make sense? And
Mhm.
so on on the day, thankfully, I mean, I've done enough work to catch it very quickly and it's subtle. But there's moments where I'm like, oh, hold on, I'm about to go do this out of fear. Oh, I'm
Mhm.
about to go do this because of scarcity. Oh, I'm about to go do this because I don't feel safe. And then I
Mhm.
can course correct faster, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
this arc of self-discovery has really just helped me increase my what I call my recovery time. So what
Mhm.
took me 2 decades to figure out, now, then took me 2 years, then took me 2 weeks, then took me 2 days, and now usually takes me 2 breaths. And I'm like, oh, I'm about to go do that thing again. Hold on, let me pause, let me connect with wisdom, right?
Mhm.
So I want to share with you that it still happens, but it's just that
Mhm.
I can course correct very quickly and come back. That's the only
Mhm.
difference.
Mhm.
I feel like I'm just as neurotic as everybody else. I just correct it faster. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and what I would like to ask you about as well, right? Because we talk about like stepping into our highest version or becoming the highest version of ourselves. And sometimes I feel like I'm trying so hard to step into the highest version of myself, but then I feel like, wait a second, I'm doing all the same things. So
Yeah.
like, is there ever a moment where you can completely like shed your old identity and just or is it
Yeah.
just like baby steps?
Yeah, I love that. That is the more sophisticated version. So people who are
Mhm.
striving to be the best version of themselves, right? But
Mhm.
where is that coming from? It's coming from lack. I'm
Mhm.
striving to be the better person. Again, it's
Mhm.
coming from fear, from lack. If I can just get there someday, then I will
Mhm.
be enough and worthy, right? So that is such a beautiful observation that you can notice that you're doing that, right? You can
Mhm.
notice you're doing that. And then in that moment, just like, "Oh my gosh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you." It's like that appreciation for even the awareness, and then what
Mhm.
do you do with that awareness? You could just keep going on with your day, but if you
Mhm.
slow down in that moment and said, "Okay, hold on. Let me go ahead and remember who I actually am. Let me
Mhm.
go ahead and connect with my wisdom in this moment because 'cause I'm about to go jump off the cliff again and do what I
Mhm.
always do. Let me
Mhm.
just go ahead and come back to the joy and the wisdom and the love that was inside of me. How can this look different? I know what it looks like if I just do the same thing like I usually do. I'm
Mhm.
willing and ready to see a different version of me. Show me, show me, show me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's the prayer. That's the meditation. That's the 8-minute rep in that moment, I would say. Does
Mhm.
that make sense
Mhm.
for you
Yeah. Yeah.
specifically? And
Yeah.
I mean, if people are listening to you, and most likely people who listen to you will have very similar levels of consciousness as
Mhm.
you get to recognize that you've been up to this whole personal development thing for a while, okay? And you're saying, well, is there a there? Like, is there a moment where I'm like all done or something?
Mhm.
Part of what is helpful when you're in that, sometimes it feels like awareness hell, like you know what's going on, but you're not able to change what's going on.
Mhm.
One of the easiest things you can do in that moment is really focus on what I call your wins. Okay, it's another form of gratitude and appreciation, but
Mhm.
to recognize what are the wins that you can celebrate about yourself. How
Mhm.
can you actually honor how far you've come, and how can you tell yourself a story of your life that's actually empowering? Okay, I can come on this podcast and tell you a completely different version of this story of mine, of my life.
Mhm.
That would be
Mhm.
very disempowering. Does
Mhm.
that make sense? Like I grew up in a cult and it was really hard, and then I didn't have money, and then I had to like work my way through college, and it was really hard again. And I got my heart broken a million times. I could be telling you a whole other version of this story that would feel very disempowering. I mean, even just starting that story made me feel not good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so how you decide to make sense of your life matters greatly,
Mhm.
because if the life the story you're telling yourself of your life is already a disempowering story, we got no chance of making this moment lovely.
Mhm.
And it's very then hard to then go and create something beautiful.
Mhm.
So taking the time to just really look at the timeline of your life for a moment and make sense of it in some way. Figure out the gift, the opportunity, or the offering that life has given you along the way.
Mhm. Mhm.
Figure out, even if it was a hell of a time, what are you going to do with it now? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That is very empowering. And so, coming back to a sense of gratitude and appreciation for the life, for you, for how amazingly brilliant you were, for having the ability to hypnotize yourself at 4 years old to, like, go hang out with your future self at the beach, like, I'm a fucking genius, right? Like, find a way to make it cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Find a way to not, what is that word? Pathologize? Is that the word? Like,
Yeah.
every single thing, because it's exhausting out there.
Mhm.
It's exhausting and then I'm dyslexic, right? That was another hurdle. But I decide not to think of my dyslexia as a hurdle. I'm a genius. I can do things people can't do because I am dyslexic. My brain works differently and it's fantastic. That is how
Mhm.
I'm deciding to view it. And in
Mhm.
my mind, that is not spiritually bypassing because I'm also connected with my emotions around it. So I can have a good cry. I can, I can tend to my emotional landscape still. So I still have
Mhm.
grief, and I'm just recognizing that my grief is that doorway to to freedom, to more joy, to more access to my emotional landscape. So if you're courageous enough to feel the sad of the story while creating a beautiful one for yourself, and then have
Mhm.
gratitude for the life and for yourself, and learn how to celebrate yourself,
Mhm.
that is the path to get out of this awareness hell and say, you know what, maybe Samantha, you've already arrived. Maybe you're actually perfectly perfect right now, perfect, whole, and complete, ever changing, ever evolving.
Mhm.
And isn't that cool?
Mhm.
Isn't that wonderful? What do you get to do next with that? That's
Yeah.
the energy. Do you feel that energy when I share that with you? Even that the energetics of that thought process and the emotions
Mhm.
that come with it.
Mhm.
That's the difference. Instead
Mhm.
of, am I ever gonna get better already? Like, am I ever gonna that energy is not helpful. That
Mhm.
is below the line of effectiveness. I can't no, I won't ever get better. Because 'Cause you're
Mhm.
saying to the universe, "Will I ever get better?" In an energy of like, "God, I'm sick and tired of this." That energy then says, "Okay, you're sick and tired of this." If
Uh-huh.
my energy goes to the world, "I'm sick and tired of this," life says, "We're sick and tired of this." If I say, "I'm
Mhm.
ever changing, ever evolving, ever growing, and yes, more, please, thank you," life is like, "Okay, we'll give you more of that." Whatever you're signaling out is what you're
Mhm.
gonna get back.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? So you
Yeah.
want to make sure that every day you wake up, you have a whole new opportunity to just decide what those energetics get to be.
Mhm.
And that's a muscle. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm sharing this with you after decades of doing this. So my muscle of that is big. Like I have a
Mhm.
strong, I call it my muscle of pride on that is big. But
Mhm.
you might need to lift some 3 pound weights for a while. And that's
Yeah.
cool. Okay. Just
Yeah.
build it up, build it up, build it up, build it up. And it will work.
Mhm.
It is the laws of the universe. They're so simple, but we got to play by by the rules of life here.
Yeah. So you had said something that I found really intriguing. You said something about spiritual bypassing.
Mhm.
And what I also hear a lot of the time when we start going into this like spirituality or personal growth world is there is such a thing as toxic positivity, right? And so when we try to be positive all the time about everything, like even when our life is falling apart around us, what kind of impact can that kind of spiritual bypassing or toxic positivity have in terms
Mm.
of helping us, get to the next level or attracting the things to us that we want?
So the problem with spiritual bypassing is that you're actually not going to get what you want. It's
Uh-huh.
another mask. It's a more sophisticated mask. Okay.
Uh-huh.
It's another sophisticated way to get love, feel safe, belong, get validation, all of the things. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So we have to meet all of this work with a lot of, I'll call it just honesty. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Or transparency.
Uh-huh.
And so let's say you wake up in the day and you're feeling just like, oh, I don't feel good. Like I feel like sad and I don't even know why, but I just feel heavy this morning or whatever. Okay.
Uh-huh.
There's a couple of things I want to share. One is you get to actually be with whatever is arising for you that in that moment. Okay. And notice that you can be with it without having it spiral you, essentially. You can actually
Uh-huh.
just be with that feeling, and it's not gonna kill you, and you don't have to make a big story about it. It's probably not even you might just be thirsty, like, who almost like with a sense of curiosity, okay?
Uh-huh.
What happens, people wake up with that feeling, and then they associate it with their busy day, and then the emails, and then the things they have to do, instead of just being with the feeling and then taking it one little wisdom and action at a time, okay?
Uh-huh.
How can I put wisdom into action one little bit at a time? So you wake up, you don't feel very good. To take a couple of deep breaths and say, hey, beautiful heart, you're a part of me. How are you feeling today? And
Mhm.
get quiet. Hey, body, what do you need? Oh, I'm
Mhm.
thirsty. I need to go to the bathroom. I need to move. I need to go outside. It'll tell you things that it wants. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
And if you can slow down enough to meet your emotional self is very, very wise. And because when you are bypassing that step, okay, of just being with whatever is there and allowing for it, it will essentially sneak out in other places. So if you're like, nope, it's going to be a beautiful day today. And then you're just going on with your day, but then you still feel it, but then you override it and you feel it. Okay. And
Mhm.
you're overriding it. It's going to leak out somewhere and you're going to snap. And all of a sudden, something's going to happen. Or you're just suppressing it and then you get disease. Okay. Because
Mhm.
that's where disease comes from.
Mhm.
You're pushing something down. So part of the opportunity here is we have to be okay with our emotions and what's
Mhm.
coming up without
Mhm.
making a big story about it. I can cry and I can be sad and I can grieve alongside. Okay, I took my 8-minute rep to be with yeah, I just woke up sad and I cried for 8 minutes and I can be there. And now what do I want? What do I want the day to be? And then I can
Mhm.
also do the other things like, all right, here's what I actually have for today, and here's what's required of me. And I can also do that. I
Mhm.
can get up and take a nice walk outside and do some journaling and then show up here for the day or whatever it
Mhm.
is that I must do. So the reason it doesn't work is because you won't actually feel fulfilled. It'll just be another mask that you're wearing, another facade that you're carrying around.
Mhm.
And then what do you get? You get a fake life.
Mhm.
You don't remember everything is a mirror. So
Mhm.
if you're being fake, you're gonna get fake. You won't actually be receiving at the level you're actually wanting to because you're not giving at the level of authenticity.
Mhm.
So everything is a match for what you are.
Mhm.
So this is why it's important to tend to your emotional landscape. And I love that doctors are catching up to this as well and the science because I've been to a few health conferences and longevity conferences this past year. And surgeons are essentially saying the thing that allows people to live to 100 and beyond is people who tend to their emotional landscape.
Mhm.
And those who don't, I mean, this along with a couple other things like strength training and having a
Mhm.
healthy mind. Even they're talking about mindset. If you think I'm going to live to 100, you're more likely to live to 100.
Mhm.
you know, and so, but part of what they're recognizing is when people are tending to their emotional landscape, it's almost giving yourself like an inside shower.
Mhm.
It's very helpful. Just like you need to keep your body clean and you wash yourself, you need to
Mhm.
cleanse clean. You need to cry it out. You need to sob. You need to allow yourself to be brave enough to say, you know what? I can take an 8-minute rep and feel the sadness around the conversation I just had with my mother, whatever
Mhm.
it is. Yeah. And just
Mhm.
let that come out. So it's both. We have to do both. We get to tend to our grief and our emotional landscape while saying, what is the energetics I want to live in today?
Mhm.
And it actually gets really easy if you've done this. This part's fun. This part's
Mhm.
it's easier essentially to
Mhm.
do this part when this has been taken care of. So you
Mhm.
tend to your aspects of self that arise, whether it's fear or grief or insecurity or whatever, like any kind of aspect of self that doesn't feel good. We have to practice tending to that. And you can do that
Mhm.
through internal family systems. You can do that by just talking to that part of you. You can just hold yourself and have a good cry. There's so many cool resources out there. Just pick one.
Mhm.
Okay. Pick something that's going to work for you to tend to self in that
Mhm.
way. I'll share with you an example. I was, I woke up, this is actually Saturday. So this is the day before yesterday. And I went on a run and I was feeling this feeling of like, oh, I want company. It was like this feeling of
Mhm.
wanting company. But when I stopped running and I tuned in, and I was like, oh, I wanted this ideal parent to go on a run with me. Like as if
Mhm.
like and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna have my ideal mama run with me. Like this
Mhm.
ideal, and she's strong and she's healthy. She's, come on, honey, let's go on a run. And she's running a little faster than me and she's holding my hand and she's like, chatting with me, and I'm just tending to this part of me that is yearning this ideal mother who would go on a run with me in her
Mhm.
whatever 60s, you know,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
who's healthy and strong and funny, and we're just laughing and we have this beautiful relationship. And I got teary and cried, and I was also laughing. It was just a beautiful moment of running in the trees in Golden Gate Park with my ideal mom having conversations. Like, this
Mhm.
is me tending to my emotional landscape. It's like there's a
Mhm.
yearning, there's something that that's a part of me is wanting
Mhm.
mama love in this moment. Let me go give myself that. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? Let me go
Mhm.
give myself that thing I'm wanting. So I'm just giving you examples of like, this is how we can tend to our emotional self. You wake up, you have a yearning, you're wanting, there's a little girl in you, a little boy in you that's needing something. Go give yourself that. You don't need to wait. You don't need to start blaming other people for not being there for you or not being a good friend or not being a good family member. Just go give that thing to yourself, because when you
Mhm.
do, guess what? You're actually now a magnet to go get that from other people because you've given it to yourself first.
Mhm.
So this is part of tending to yourself. It doesn't always have to be sitting quietly. It could be when you're on a run, for
Mhm.
example, or
Yeah.
getting your workout in.
Yeah. Do you have, like, are you an advocate for having a morning routine or a morning ritual, for this kind of work? And if you don't mind sharing, like, what kind of rituals do you have, or like, what's your morning routine
Yeah.
that gets you set up for the day?
Okay. I absolutely think that morning time is sacred time.
Mhm.
And I'm going to say to everybody here, if it doesn't happen in the morning, it's all good. Just make it happen.
Mhm.
Okay. Meaning, if it's already 12, 1 o'clock and you didn't get some time with yourself, and you're like, oh, I missed my morning window. Like, don't worry about it. Just get it in. It's better to
Mhm.
get it in than not get it in at all.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I want to say that first because some people won't be able to do a morning routine for whatever reason. Okay.
Mhm.
I would say, even for all the mamas out there, the caregivers and things like that, 8 minutes is what you need. And
Mhm.
everybody has eight minutes. Okay.
Mhm.
So even if it's 8 minutes, it doesn't have to be this long thing. No matter what, you're doing an 8-minute practice, an 8-minute, what I call a rep every single day, a repetition, a rep every day. So I do have a morning routine, and it will look different depending on the day. But no matter what, there's 8 minutes.
Mhm.
Okay. Sometimes it's 20, sometimes it's 3 hours, sometimes it's, it varies, but at minimum, it's eight. And
Mhm.
what am I doing in that 8 minutes? I'm remembering reality. That's what I'm doing. I'm remembering what's actually reality. And
Mhm.
I'm connecting to my God self. I'm connecting to the best version of me that I can find. I'm connecting to wisdom. I'm connecting to my divine living. I'm
Mhm.
connecting to, I'm going to be on purpose today. What does that look like? Okay.
Mhm.
I'm connecting to my intention. I'm listening deeply, and I'm remembering that we're all one, essentially.
Mhm.
And any way that I can do that day, I will. So how do I decide what I do? I like to think of this, and I share this with my clients. There's like these three buckets we can access. Okay. There's deep work, and the deep work is us tending to our healing. Okay. Tending to our um, emotional landscape,
Mhm.
essentially. So
Mhm.
if I'm waking up and I feel tender, if I'm waking up and I feel like there's just something there, there's an aspect of myself that needs something from me. Okay. Then I will do some deep work. I will connect with that aspect and give her what she needs. Okay.
Mhm.
If I the other bucket is what I call presence work. So how about if I wake up and I'm like, it's just like neutral. It's just like it's calm and neutral. There's an opportunity then to practice presence work. That's like meditation, mindfulness, journaling. It's an opportunity to do some kind of mindfulness practice, maybe just looking for beauty in the day or for those
Mhm.
8 minutes, for that eight
Mhm.
minute rep. It can be writing a letter. It can be writing a letter and saying, "Dear love, what would you have me know today?" It's me just connect with wisdom, essentially, in that presence work. and get quiet enough to recognize there's going to be distraction in the day and some things, and can I stay with myself? And so I'm building up that ability to do that during that presence rep. And then the last bucket is what I call future work. So say if you wake up and you're like, God, I feel like there's something for me that I'm wanting to access, then I might connect with some future work, and I might tune into the future self of me 5 years from now, and I have her write a letter to me about what I do and how I did it and how it was wonderful, Or maybe I connect with my ancestors, or maybe I connect with divine wisdom, or maybe I am connecting with nature in a way that allows me to be really creative in that moment. It could be whatever it wants to be. So there gets to be time every day that we are setting aside for ourselves. And the reason why I think 8 minutes works for myself and the people who I share it with is because it's a really great time to access essentially all time. So if we turn the number 8 onto its side, it's an infinity symbol. And when you are doing something for 8 minutes, it's as if the quality is right as well. When the quality is effective, it's as if you were doing it all day. Okay. And there's an ability to bring it into your day once you hit that 8-minute rep. I learned this as well through my background in exercise science. I'm a performance enhancement specialist. I started coaching first with athletes before I started working with the general public. And it was always the 8 minutes warm up that was the hardest, And as soon as it was like 8 minutes in, it's like, oh, the energy changes in the room. Like everyone's like, okay, cool, we're in it now. Okay, we remembered again, So, and from the work I've done, the practices that I've done on my own too, it takes about 8 minutes to remember again the beauty of it all. Okay, it takes 8 minutes to remember who you are, why you're here, what you get to do next, and be on purpose, essentially, to create meaning with what you've got and this gift of life that we have. So that is why we do it for 8 minutes minimum. If you can play in that space more, awesome. Go have a ball, But we have to stay consistent. And that's what my morning practice looks like. So I'll usually pick one of these buckets, whether it's deep rep, a presence rep, or a future rep, depending on what's coming up for me. And even if I've done a lot of future reps, because that's the one I tend to like the most. I'm a performance enhancement specialist. So I'm always like, what do we want to create? So I make sure that those are all balanced out too. So if I haven't done a deep rep in a while, it's like, okay, let's do some reps on the deep rep. Let's do some presence work. Let's do some meditation and gratitude. So it's helpful to kind of keep it at a nice balance between the three.
Yeah, that's amazing. So we are running out of time. I'm so sad because I feel like there's so much more we could talk about, but this has been great. What is the best place for people to get in contact with you if they wanted to learn more about you or work with you?
Yeah, so they can contact me. My name is spelled Oliveyah. So it's like olive and then
Okay.
And you can find me everywhere at Oliveyah Fisch, Fisch. So all of my social handles,
Okay.
my website is Oliveyah Fisch. You could put it in the show notes.
Yes.
And I think there's a couple of things coming up. I'm not sure when this is going to be released, but there's a couple of great offerings that I have coming up around some of these things we talked about today, around the 8-minute reps, around I have a remembrance series coming up. It's a 6-class series over 6 weeks, and we get to do some practices together around some of the things we've talked about today. There's a men's core group and a women's core group that I run, which is a small group where people are doing this work together, which is so fun. So if somebody's interested in not having to do it alone, I would love to just, we can connect you with my team, see if it's a good fit. We'll have a call to see what wants to happen and then go from there. But there's different tiers to work with me, whether it's in a bigger community or a smaller group or other ways to connect. So come in contact and we'll figure out the best fit.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you so much, Oliveyah, for being here with me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. It was great.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
sabe.